celebrate uncertainty in your culture. Instead of rushing to solve every problem immediately, invite your team to explore. Say, hey, we're in the murky middle, and that's a good thing. But if you can stay present in it, you'll notice something remarkable. This is where the mind starts connecting the dots, exploring patterns, and imagining alternatives. Creativity doesn't live in certainty, it actually lives in curiosity. Why the murky middle is where your best ideas are born. Have you ever noticed that the best ideas often show up in between things? Between one project ending and the next beginning, between clarity and confusion, between what was and what's next. That in between zone has a name. It's called liminal space. And we can also think of it as the murky middle. In Scott Belsky's book, The Messy Middle, he writes about the ever-present ups and downs of launching and managing a startup. He warns us of the messiness of any creative process, and he equips us with tools to navigate the uneven path. Liminal space is the space of transition, uncertainty, and becoming. And while most people rush to get out of it, this is actually where creativity thrives. Today, I want to show you why ambiguity is not your enemy. It's your creative superpower. A few years ago, I was in a period of major uncertainty. I had just left a full-time job as a professor to launch my business, Figure Eight Thinking, and I felt 50% exhilarated and 50% terrified. Now, in my opinion, that's exactly where and when you should leap. It's because the exhilaration keeps you buoyant and optimistic, and the terror keeps you anchored and paying attention to the details. I remember waking up each day with both excitement and panic. I didn't have a clear roadmap yet, just a lot of questions and a deep sense that something new was trying to emerge. I said yes to every inquiry because I was just so scared that if I pass on an opportunity, this new venture called Figure Eight Thinking might all come to a screeching halt. During that time, I started walking every morning without headphones and listening to music or to podcasts. Just walking, noticing sounds, colors, and the rhythm of my steps. And one morning, I heard this phrase in my mind: when I move, my ideas move. That single line became one of the foundations for my motor framework: movement, thought, and rest. And I learned later through researching for the book, Move, Think, Rest, that the philosopher St. Augustine came to a similar conclusion centuries ago. St. Augustine said, "It is solved through walking." Now, my insight didn't arrive when things were clear. It arrived in the fog, in the space between endings and beginnings. And that is the power of liminal space, the power of the murky middle. So, lesson number one, what liminal space really is. Liminal space literally means threshold. It's a portal, the middle zone, not the old, not yet the new. There are all sorts of thresholds we have in our lives. Think about a graduation, a job transition, a product redesign, a cultural shift, or a personal metamorphosis. In those moments, old systems are dissolving and new ones have not yet formed. Multiple studies, namely a 2008 study published in the Journal of Creative Behavior, confirmed that tolerance of ambiguity is significantly and positively related to creativity. This validates why being comfortable with the discomfort of liminal space matters. Most people try to rush through the murky middle because ambiguity can feel really uncomfortable. But if you can stay present in it, you'll notice something remarkable. This is where the mind starts connecting the dots, exploring patterns, and imagining alternatives. Creativity doesn't live in certainty, it actually lives in curiosity. So, lesson number two, why ambiguity fuels creativity. I recall hearing the actress Laura Linney, the co star with Justin Bateman in one of my favorite TV series, Ozark, once say in an interview, and I'm paraphrasing, there is inevitably this moment in every rehearsal process after the honeymoon period when all the excitement wears off of meeting your cast members and you're getting into the story when you hit a wall. Nothing seems to be clicking, and what once seemed clear is just foggy. In those moments, you must wrestle with the ambiguity of the creative process, or something like that. But the lesson remains the same. When liminal space and ambiguity strike, you can't go around it or under it or over it. You must sit with it and wrestle with the ambiguity. You got to deal with it. And research shows that pushing through discomfort leads to creative breakthroughs. Here's what's happening neurologically. When we enter ambiguous situations, our brains activate both the default mode and executive networks. The push and pull between broad openness, the default mode network, and stellar focus, the executive network, allows us to combine ideas that normally don't converge. It's the birthplace of originality. Think about the times you've had a big insight. It often comes after frustration or confusion. That discomfort wasn't failure, it was incubation. The uncertainty itself was the creative process doing its work. So instead of saying, how do I get out of this unclear space? Try asking, what is this space trying to teach me? Lesson number 3, how to use liminal space intentionally. If you're a leader, an entrepreneur, or a creator, you can design for liminal space. And here are 3 ways to start. First, build intentional transitions. Before moving from one meeting to the next, pause for 1 minute. Take a breath, stretch, or write down one thing you just learned. That small moment of in between allows you to tap into the default mode network and it resets your attention. Secondly, celebrate uncertainty in your culture. Instead of rushing to solve every problem immediately, invite your team to explore. Say, hey, we're in the murky middle, and that's a good thing. This normalizes curiosity and experimentation. Third, create physical or digital spaces that support reflection. In offices, this might be an open lounge area or a corner set up with a whiteboard for doodling. Virtually, it might be a no agenda meeting once a month where people share questions that they're pondering. And these simple and intentional design choices, they send a message. We value not just the outcome, but the process of becoming. And marketing guru Seth Godin has said that strategy is a process of becoming. Lesson number 4, the wonder rigor connection. Liminal spaces where wonder and rigor meet. Wonder asks, what if? And rigor asks, how will we make it real? You need both. It's what I call the wonder rigor theory. If you lean too far into wonder, you dream, but you never deliver because your ideas won't gain traction. And if you lean too far into rigor, you execute, but you stop imagining. And even worse, you could burn out. Liminality gives you the breathing room to toggle between the two, to stay open and still move forward. And that's the dance of creativity. Now, listen, the biggest barrier to creativity is a lack of time. That's about for 47% of people globally and 52% of people in the United States. And only 25% of individuals' work time is actually spent creating, while 75% are pressured to be productive, which sometimes becomes productivity theater rather than actual creativity. This just underscores why intentionally designing transitions and reflection space is so critical. It directly counters the cultural pressure to skip the creative murky middle. So here's my challenge for you this week. Notice your next moment of in between, when a project ends, when a conversation lingers, when something feels uncertain. Resist the urge to rush. Stay there, observe, and listen. Because ambiguity is not wasted time, it's fertile ground. It's where your next breakthrough is already taking root. If you want to learn how to use liminal space as a creative advantage for yourself or your organization, visit figure8thinking.com. You'll find blogs, courses, and downloadable worksheets to help you build the creative capacity to thrive in times of change.